Hello, I'm Massimiliano Pogliani. Thank you, Don, for inviting me to this podcast. I'm today a strategic partner and investor for PX3, which is a PE firm based in London.
And does PX3 have a particular investment thesis? Is it tech? Is it luxury?
Well, PX3 is a pan-European private equity firm, which is based in London, which was founded by three partners who have previously worked together for over 20 years in the private equity space. So PX3 stands for purpose, passion, and performance. So we invest in B2B, B2C companies which operate within specific segment of the business services, consumers, leisure, and industrial sector, and they have strong business fundamentals. What we do, we support entrepreneurs and the management team in the development of business through transformative growth and also, of course, operational improvement.
Very good, very good. And in the past, one of the reasons I wanted to get you on was to pick your brains on creation of luxury create a luxury brand from something which was previously a commodity. And I suppose it's funny because I was talking to somebody about the first product that you were involved with the other day, and they looked at me like I was mental. Right? So, like the idea that a Nokia phone could be a luxury item. But Apple have created, a watch which is a luxury watch. You
Yeah.
can buy a gold strap and for your Apple Watch or a Gucci strap for your Apple Watch. But and I was watching the documentary on Netflix, General Magic,
Mhm.
which was sort of the spun out of Apple. The team tried to create a smartphone before the technology and the network existed and failed. But it's an absolutely fantastic documentary. But I wanted to get on and just because you've not done it, you've done it twice to my knowledge. You might have done it more times than that, but certainly in the conversations that we've had, we've talked a couple of times about certainly doing it in phones and coffee. Uh, what was it? What is it that you did before being able to create a luxury brand out of a mobile phone? What was yours? What had you done before that gave you the insights to make that possible?
Well, that's a good question. I think you know I could answer with one thing. I believe the key difference between working with a brand and working with a premium luxury brand is that in premium and luxury, management has to be part of the brand, meaning that you don't have to do your work, your job, but you really need to live and feel the brand, and what you are selling is part of what you like to do. So what you do and what you sell is part also your daily life. So developing an appreciation for good things across along my life, where at the beginning was aspirational because I could not afford these things, but it was one of the things pushing me forward to make career and success and say, so one day I will be able to afford this luxury item. But at the same time, by looking, observing, you start kind of absorbing this passion, and also this feeling for what is premium and what you think is classy, is good, is part of something which is in the person. So that's why I'm saying is if you are not into it, if you don't like these kind of things, which is fine, it's not you are not a better or worse if you don't like a luxury. It's very very difficult to work for a luxury premium brand because it's like you have pretend to do something that you don't understand. So you really need to live it and feel it, and then try to, which is the most difficult thing to do, is try to put the customer at the center of what you do. Thinking, well, if I'm a customer, I like this kind of thing. What I would like this company to do, not only in terms of product, which is just one key element when you talk about premium and luxury positioning, but then there are at least are the three pillars that you have to really manage and take care if you really want to develop a premium brand. So of course it starts from the product, because you need to have fantastic, good, exceptional product. So you mentioned Apple. Of course, Apple is a fantastic phone, great, but this is not the only reason why an iPhone is successful. So this is the first necessary but not sufficient condition. Then you have to move to the second part, which is creating around this product a brand image that is emotionally engaging with the consumers. Why I'm saying this? Because with product superiority, you create customer satisfaction, but you don't necessarily create customer loyalty. So you can be very satisfied of your watch, of your bag, of your shoes, but it doesn't mean that you don't want to try something else. Why? So why you don't want to change? Well, it's very much about the love story. Why you don't change your watch, your shoes, brand every single day? Why? So it's not because of the product satisfaction only. Of course, you love your life, you like it, but it's because of the emotional engagement that you create with the story you are building with your wife, with the product, with the brand. So brands that are able to emotionally engage consumers are adding to their satisfaction the loyalty, because they have kind of unique stories that relate them to the brand. But again, this is not sufficient because there is a third aspect that you need to really take care for is, okay, I have a good product, exceptional product, I'm emotionally engaging with my consumers, but then you really, really need to be careful in managing every single touch point that you have with your consumers. Because again, we can do the example of a relationship, a man and women and men, whatever you want. You it's not because you remember the birthday or you bring the flowers, etc. You have to, every time you have a touch point, every time you do something, you have to be sure that you deliver the expectation, that you keep up to the expectation, and you keep this emotional engagement going. And it's much better to, let's say, to do incremental things every single day, one small bit, another bit, which will create at the end a big wow moments, instead of having big peaks and the big downs and ups and downs, because people, consumers, are kind of confused, and then they start thinking, okay, this is not for me. So the coherency and consistency in managing these touch points is much more important than doing something exceptional.
When you were talking about living the brand, I was thinking I'd read something recently about Toyota developing the Lexus brand, and they said, look, our prime consumer is going to be Americans, so they sent the design team to America to live as wealthy Americans, and they got them country club, and they put them in houses in Beverly Hills, and they got them driving Mercedes and BMWs, and it was like live like your customer for 3 months, exactly as you said. Because if you don't know how they operate, how they think, where they hang out, what their life is, you could never design a product to fit in.
You don't even understand that they're doing wrong things, because for you it's normal not to do these things. So you,
Yeah.
or if you see these things, you say, oh, why these are crazy, stupid, rich people, or why they have more money than sense, etc., etc. But you really have to understand. First of all, apart if you're doing wrong things, if you have money, probably something good you have done in your life. I'm talking money done in a proper way. And then everybody's free, once he has worked hard, to use the money the way they want. But really, it's difficult to play a part, to pretend. You really need to like it, love it, and then you can really put yourself in the shoes of the potential consumers, and really try to speak really with them, and engage with them. And the ultimate state that you get when you do these things right, so the exceptional product, the emotional engagement, strictly controlling all the brand exposures, the touch point, especially today. I mean, we are talking about omni-channel. That's it. I mean, it doesn't matter if I see your product on a website, in a store, in a warehouse, and or with another customer. I always have to be exposed to the same experience, to the same, you know, positioning. I really have to be careful of that. If I do these things well, I have the chance to become what I call a reference brand instead of a preference brand. You know, where you have the, instead of saying, oh, I prefer this thing instead of this other, this bag instead of this other, or this coffee instead of this other coffee. No, no, this is the bag, the coffee, the watch, you know, the phone, and all the others become like followers by definition, because you are not more a preference but a reference point for all the consumer. And this is developed within normally a community. You know, it can be the community of chef is his food, tech community, you know, and this is the ultimate status. You know, it's like in the commercial funnel build at the advocacy status, you know, at the top of the pyramid.
And so, how did you? So that was the playbook that you used to create Vertu.
Well, this is the playbook I is not that I use, is that I put together in doing all these experiences that I made
Okay.
with Vertu, with Nespresso, etc. But if you think about the two companies, for example, and Illy as well, because Illy is coffee, but is premiumly positioned, etc. You know, if you think about what the company were doing, well, we were kind of applying this principle, you know,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like more than probably while doing it, I kind of formalized this kind of
So,
framework.
so when you started trying to create this reference brand for a premium mobile phone, Vertu,
Yeah.
I mean, did you know you'd be able to pull it off, or were you just
Well, there was already there the challenge, the additional challenge was understanding that there was already the company was already existing. So I joined when it was acquired by the PE. It was the challenge there was applying this, but also understanding the two key things in that word were changing. One was the technology side. You know, Vertu was created by Nokia, and Nokia was by far the number one in the phone in the world before the iPhone. And there, back to the what we were discussing before, the complacency killed them. There was a technological challenge because people have had a luxurious phone, but there was crap in terms of on all technology. They start seeing the new first smartphone, etc., etc., and that was the first challenge. At the same time, the luxury world was changing because we were moving from the first phase of wow wow bling bling luxury, the wannabe or the new rich of 20 years ago, now to a more, you know, from show to show that, you know, a more understated look at luxury. So not showy bling bling. There was also, you remember, the no logo movement at that time, etc. So what we need to do was not only applying this principle we were discussing before, but also working at the same time on two parallel things, which normally you don't find combined in one company: tech company and luxury company. So that was, and I was lucky because passion, technology has always been my passion since I was a kid and still today. So I could premium and luxury as well. So I could put the two words together. So I had two job in one. And so we did the change. So we move from Nokia to Android with the partnership with Google. Then we start always designing fantastic, luxurious phone, but with the design that was more subtle, not bling bling and wow. And so trying to be appealing for another kind of audience. So people that yes, they have the money, and they don't want to have the same phone on everybody else. And attached to that, they want a range of services in order to feel part of that community I was mentioning before. No, so making sure that the product was delivering the expectation of the customer, where they were considering the iPhones a kind of hygiene factor. So that was not more an edge, being a good phone, because you could buy at that time an iPhone. It was already a good phone at that time, not as good as today, but it was a good one. So that was an hygiene factor to deliver, but it was not the reason why you're going to buy a Vertu phone. It's all what you build around the image, the material, the craft, the services, the concierge, that help to create this community of people that were willing to pay for that, of course, because that's the point. There is no need in the world for a luxury phone. There is no need for luxury at all. I mean, because luxury is not something that you need, it's something that you want. It's different.
And so, how did you? How successful were you there?
Well, we completely transformed the company, and we were, it was a PE environment, so we were able to do all this change, and that was paramount to create the equity story, to find a new owner for the company, and we sold the company back in 2015, at the end of 2015. Yeah.
Well, so tell me the Nespresso story then.
Well, Nespresso is where I develop that kind of framework that then I apply, in developing the brand. So I joined the company at the very beginning. It was not, I was living in Italy. That at that time it was not known. It was, and really I had the chance to work for a company and a team that were really at the beginning of this fantastic story that now everybody knows. And there I think because I say we because it was really a teamwork. It's not only me, of course. We were in a moment where we were really uh, excited. Really, we knew that something was coming, and at the point that we were really working hard to make it happen everywhere. There were already some markets that were up and running, like France, Benelux, Germany, etc. But we really wanted to make it global. And at that time, the two key shifts that I made was really one on the management of the brand, and second on the retail network. Because at the beginning, being Nespresso a part of Nestle, it was a little bit build the Nestle way, where Nestle, you have the local Nestle that are like, they have the power to decide on the product, the consumer, etc. Although Nestle is a big multinational company, they think food is local, so you have to act locally, blah, blah, blah. So there were the subsidiaries that were built at that time, they were doing a little bit their own things, in trying to develop. Yes, there was an headquarter developing the product, the system, on everything, managing some of the things, but there were a lot of things, especially those two related to brand building, consumer communication, promotion, which were locally based, with the attitude, okay, we are French, so the French are different. We are, oh, we are, and so, but again, back to the point I made. If you want to create a global brand, you have to have a global positioning, and the touch point should be the same. So what we start doing, we start concentrating at the center all the activities, and really shifting from a product which aimed to be global, but it was locally managed, to a really globally managed brand, centrally managed in Switzerland, where the headquarters are still today. So start moving all the things we were building around the trade marketing, customer care, so CRM, etc. All these activities, and then countries have still an important role of translating, applying this in their countries, but there was not a possibility to communicate in one way in one country, in another way in the other countries. But it was a process, because at the beginning, now everybody remembers, still there, George Clooney and the ads, etc. But it came a little bit later, because we had to gradually bring all the countries the same level of understanding of the brand. So at the beginning, there were still some TV campaigns that were different in France versus other countries, etc., etc. And then gradually we moved to this, and George was really the very first one to be a global campaign, and then he became also a global ambassador.
And how did you pick George?
Well, George was picked in a very thorough traditional Nestle way with market research, surveys. So when we decided we wanted you know a brand ambassador, etc. So we start scouting, and there was hundreds of person analyze and check and etc. And then we narrow it down to two, 3 person, and at the end George came out as the one who's, of course, is loved by women. Fantastic, okay. But he's also loved by men. So, because if you if you see George is a handsome guy, but you don't feel him as an enemy or someone. You feel as a friend. You can go out. Of course,
Okay.
if you go out with George, he's gonna pick all the girls, and you're gonna be alone because you're not George. But you think, oh, he's a nice guy, he's a friend, which doesn't happen if you think about other potential good-looking men like Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp at that time. So they were all loved by women, but men they say, "Oh no, I don't like this guy," because they felt like on competition. Well,
Okay.
George was a kind already across, gender and generation at that time already. He was loved by everybody, and it was a good choice, I think.
And then you also you were saying before we were recording that sort of retail experience was one of the things that you brought into the brand, which they didn't have before.
Exactly. Since at that time there were something that we were already started, but we really, when I joined, they say, oh, Max, we are the. They show me a kind of chart with a square. There were all the luxury brand inside: Chanel, Vuitton, Hermes, or Rolex, and in the middle there was the end of the Nespresso. Say, we are a luxury brand. I said, okay, fantastic. So let's do like a luxury brand. So we have to really start managing and touch and taking care of all the touch point, and let's start selling the product really like a luxurious brand. So all the because it would have been impossible to create such a global brand and brand experience only by selling Nespresso through normal stores or through e-commerce, etc. You have to have a place where you have the full Nespresso experience. And there the idea was, let's not, since we have these beautiful capsules with all these beautiful colors, etc., we say, well, instead of going where everybody's going, every coffee roaster, so show you the beans and the coffee house. Let's do a boutique. So let's bring the people in a boutique, luxurious environment where they have still all the explanation of the coffee or why we do this. They can try the machine, beautifully designed, completely different from the traditional other machines. So, and feeling part of a club. So the creation of the Nespresso Club, and so you are part of the club, you are a member of this club, and so creating this community of people was key to develop the brand, because you have the system, so the capsule, very easy, you put, remember today, capsules are mostly used because they're very convenient, but at that time there was nothing like that. Push a button, put a capsule, perfect coffee every time. But then you have, the customer care of an espresso taking care of you if you have a problem, etc. And then you have all the communication around the Nespresso Club. So you really create this community of people that were really becoming more and more ambassador of the brand, on top of George himself, because I remember at that time almost one out of so 50% of our new customer were brought by an existing customer, so which is very, very powerful. So people who already had an espresso machine at home, they were convinced in their guess, oh, this is fantastic, you have to buy it. So 50% of the customer acquisition was done through another customer.
When somebody bought Nespresso, what were you trying to make them feel? Did you want? Does it make me feel smart? Does it make me feel sophisticated? Did you have an aim?
That you can get to the ultimate coffee experience. That's what we were trying to feel.
You've discovered a truth that other people don't know, which then helps you become an ambassador.
Coffee only, meaning, remember what I said at the beginning, just a good coffee, because of course Nespresso was a good coffee, but the overall experience had to be good. So the way
Yes.
you interact with the brand, the way you talk with the customer care, the way you are contacted with mailings, with phone calls, the way you enter in a store and you speak with this coffee specialist, really feeling part of this community of people in the know. They have discovered this fantastic product, fantastic brand, and they are happy and satisfied, but they are also emotionally attached to this brand because they live every time an experience.
Okay. Fab. That's magic.